why not? We haven't done it for a while.
Hi, I'm Jim.
I'm Rinda.
We have animals. You know that, right? We love our animals for a lot of reasons. They're a lot of fun, and we have them for purposes. We don't just, well, Oliver. Oliver's cute. That's not a good purpose.
People are saying he's a supervisor now.
He is. He's got to be. That's got to be his job. Everything on the homestead has to have a purpose, or else it's in the way, and it's expensive. Our animals are very important to us for all that they do for us from beginning to end. And therefore, we really want to take care of them. And here's a couple of examples. We started with our chickens, having them with the large, like 25 or so in a chicken tractor.
No, 35.
35. And when they're eensy beensy, that maybe sort of kind of worked, but as they got bigger and bigger, we were wanting to move the thing 2 or 3 times a day at least, because it wasn't enough space and enough grass for that many birds, and the manure load that they would put down was enormous, and it was not a good place for them to live. So we were moving it a couple times a day.
Plus they were all on top of one another. Mm-hmm. They're chickens. They didn't have any place to roost. We just didn't feel like it was humane. So
technically from the numbers, yeah, that's what the numbers say you can do, but we didn't feel it was right. So we've reduced that down to, where are we now with the big ones?
We're about 20.
So we're thinking 20. I mean, and that's like in a 10 by 6, which is a fair amount of space. So when you look at them, there's plenty if they're only there for a day. Now, leaving there for more than a day, that wouldn't be good. But for a day, it works out about right.
Plus, we put roosts in there.
Yeah,
even for our broilers. And our broilers get right up on those roosts and use them, which is a real advantage, actually, for their health. Because at night, they're on these 2 roosts, so their poop load is in a line.
Yeah.
Rather than them sitting in it all night.
And what we do is we move them first thing in the morning, so they've you know, for the night, they've increased the amount of manure in the area. Then we move them the next morning, so they're on totally clean to start eating and having their day go on. They enjoy it. I mean, as we're moving the chicken tractor
that we have now,
they are at the front of the chicken tractor going along.
Food.
Pick. They just. We need to show that sometime. They love the fresh grass, the fresh ground, this fresh soil that they can get into. So for those of you who are concerned about confined chickens, and that's really not humane, they're safe. Their predators aren't getting to them. They're safe from the elements as well. So they're you know, and they get lots of fresh air. They get access as if they were
free roaming.
Totally free roaming.
We put herbs in their nests and roses.
But the bigger picture of that is by us concentrating them in certain areas, when we do bring them back to that area in, I don't know how long, probably next year is when they come back, what they've done to the ground by scratching it up and putting the manure on there now during its rest period, it will have grown up some amazing grasses and replenished a lot of what was there, so that when they come back, it's going to be even better than the first time they were there.
So they work, our animals and our land work symbiotically. If we just raise land, then we're just raising land. If we just raise animals, we're just raising animals. But when you mix them together, you are taking care of your animals and your land. We know that this is the common practice amongst many of the homesteading channels, and we're really happy about that. But we did have a viewer that made a comment about the way that we raise ours in a good way, and we really appreciated that comment.
And it got us to thinking that we should focus on that a little bit and explain a little bit more what we're doing, some of the logic and some of the outcomes that we're seeing from it. But like Rinda says, it does work together very well, and by combining them we get even more advantage. Now, in regards to our small chickens that we have who are over this direction from us right now, they're growing, they're in a safe place. We've got their run very safe for them. We're not putting them into chicken tractors because
they're too tiny.
They're too tiny. In moving the tractors, it's a little bit dangerous for them. They tend to get under a lot easier. They don't know to walk away from it, so it's not as safe for them. So we're waiting a little bit more for them. We have time. We're not ready to put fresh ones in there. By the time they're going to be big enough that we can more safely move with them in there. But we have 36 now, so we're going to split them between 2 different chicken tractors so that they're not overly crowded. And what we find is with that number is a day is a good amount of time. We wouldn't want to go more than a day, but a day gives them fresh grass, fresh ground, and they take really good care of it.
So I have to just tell, we've got to try to get it on camera for you, but these are little guys. I mean, we do not know what kind of chickens they are. We got them at the auction, but we do know they're chickens. 2 of them are roosters, and we hear this little. It's the saddest little thing.
We need to get it recorded.
We do. So I finally found it today.
Well, it's like a kid playing, you know, trying out, this is what Daddy does.
But it's interesting to watch them because they still try to herd these little girls, and they're only like this big. And one of them is the bare neck one. And so he's all black with his bare neck and his little pop on his head, and he's doing this little crow thing. And the other one is a white one with black feathers coming out. And man, they're just they're so cute to watch.
So we'll see if we have more of them, but those 2 have hit their puberty time, and they're letting us know. One thing that we do with our chickens, and we decided to do it with the pigs, we were doing what we were told, and not happy with the way the pigs were reacting. They reacted in the same way that our broiler chickens did. But we are giving them free choice on the food. They can eat anytime they want.
Our newsletter talks about it this time, so not everybody that watches this gets a newsletter. If you want it, go to heartinessapproach.com and you can get that.
If you're raising them for yourselves, you're raising them to get as much meat on them as you can, and you want them to be happy and not stressed the whole time. So
the same with the broilers. So what we discovered with our broilers is when we would take them and have the trough and pour the trough full, they were like ravenous. They were vulture-y, eating.
It was crazy.
Horrible.
I mean, it was scary.
They would fill their crops so full that we would have to help them get it out. They would die eating.
Well, they would fall over. It was so heavy they couldn't walk around very well.
And so we're like, this is ridiculous. And so what we did was we got the big feeders, we hung them in their chicken tractors, filled them completely full.
And kept them full.
So that they could have free eating, and they would just eat when they wanted to. All the gluttony left, all the about smothering them, each other to get it left. And that's what's happened with the pigs.
Yeah, lot less stress.
The pigs don't.
I'm sure there are some downsides. I'm sure some folks can point out to us what's wrong with what we're doing with this, and that's fine. We're going to continue to do it because, yes, it's going to cost us a little bit more, maybe. We may end up with more pounds of meat at the end of this, so, you know, how do you weigh that out? But they're happier, they're in better shape, and so they're giving us so much that if we can keep them comfortable, then that's what we're striving to do. But we think we gain on that.
So that's just a little bit about how we take care of our animals and why we take care of them in the way that we do. We have empathy for our animals, and if we put I mean, you know, I can't even tell you how many times he goes out and checks on these animals. It's amazing, and we love them, and they love us back. So.
Oh, by the way, I can't remember the person's name. You won on the snake.
We'll have to look it up.
But let me just say this. We didn't do everything we wanted to do. We ran out of resources and time to get the barn as fully
we took the barn apart and then the snake came in.
Yeah. We didn't get as reinforced as we wanted to. So I found a snake in there the other day. It left. And I haven't... There's been no, it was too small. It couldn't have done anything to well, it might have strangled him. But it didn't. It hadn't done anything to him.
I'm going to say this.
Wait, I'm not finished.
But it's part of it.
Okay.
No, go ahead. You keep going. No, go.
So, I got to tell you about the snake. When I went in there, I had no gloves. I had nothing I could use with me to keep myself safe. And no way to get to it before the snake would leave, and so I watched this snake. It went up the wall, 8 foot up a wall. The snake's about you know, maybe 4 or 5 foot long, if that. And it went up an 8-foot wall all the way.
Yeah, they're weird.
I don't know how they do it.
And no, we know even if they're not poisonous, we're not going to touch them, because the other day when he was removing that one, it was just trying to bite him and bite him and bite him and bite him. So, you know, it's okay if people call us really stupid because we don't pick up snakes with our bare hands. We don't. We just don't. So, I don't care. It's nothing I'm going to change.
Go ahead. It's time for your input.
Anyway, I just want to say, it was dark. He'd come out to check on the chickens. He called me on my phone. He says, get a shovel, get my gloves, and come out. And so I came out, and he tried, and we got lights and everything to look up in the attic and the whole place. We just could not find this snake.
It found its way out. I scared it pretty bad.
And so literally, we had to turn and walk away from these little chicks. And we prayed over them that night that they would be safe from the snake, that the snake would go away, and they did. And we've still got so much to fix in there so the snakes don't come back. But
so anyway, I know what I wanted to say. To whatever her name was, and I think there were actually 2 of you who stepped up, and that's fine. Come on over sometime when you can, and I'll take you out to dinner. I lost. I got it. I'm following through. I'm not. You know, they're welcome to stop over anytime.
I didn't think that was the way it worked, but okay.
So how did you think it worked?
I don't know.
That's the only way it works.
I know the other night when
Hey, if I'm losing a bet and I have to take you out to dinner, you got to come here to do it. So. Or when I'm over visiting you, I guess.
There
whichever.
you go.
There you go.
Anyway, one more.
I'm serious about it, though. I'm joking, but I am serious. If you do stop over, we're heading out to dinner. We have a great place that we can take you to.
One more thing that 2 of our viewers have asked about the waters that we use for our chickens. And I'll show those right now. We've just put them on our website, or actually they're in the show notes going underneath there, and it shows the link to them through our Amazon that you could
So on new videos that come out, they'll be
They'll
they're
all
not
be
on
there.
the old ones. We're not going back to the old ones.
No, just on yesterday's. I think I put it back
starting
on.
with yesterday's, okay.
Anyway, these waters that we use, they're not your typical waters. They're cheaper waters. They're made for outside, for your chickens that are free ranging. But we have liked them so much that we have 3 of them. We have one out in the chicken run, one inside for them, and one in with the other chickens. And the only thing you have to watch for is that if your land is tilted, that you have a wedge or something that you have to look each day. Is it sitting straight? Otherwise, you can lose all your water and they don't have any water.
So that probably makes no sense to you, but it's just, there's a float in there, and if it's off-centered, the float doesn't stop the water from, anyway. As the bowl that the water sets in gets empty, the float drops, more water comes in. So if it's tipped enough, then the water in the bowl runs out constantly and just kind of drains the thing out. So you have to have it level. That's the downside of the free ranging part.
The good side is about 20 bucks cheaper than all the others. So.
Now, what we haven't done that we could do with it is we could run a hose to it and have a float on the inside to turn the hose on and off to keep it constantly full. It's big enough with the number of chickens we have that you know, unless it's dripping out, it makes it through the hottest day.
Yeah, it's 6.5 gallons, so it's really
It actually
good.
does a couple of days with 20 chickens with no problem.
And we just take a what is that called?
Brush.
Brush, and clean around the outside and dump it out every once in a while. Otherwise, we can just take a bucket of water and fill it up.
So the 2 downsides are the one that Renda mentioned with if they're not sitting level. The other one is in really cold weather, they will freeze.
Yeah.
So they're not a cold weather water, but you know, unless you have one that's heated, none are.
Yeah. So we hope that you enjoyed learning about how we take care of our animals. And I just want to pan over. I must pan over right this minute at Mr. Lazy Bones sitting right there. Just sitting as close as he
He's
can.
the director, sitting in the director's chair, just kind of taking it easy.
And anyway, feel free to enroll in our 12 weeks of Heartiness. It's coming along really well, and we're enjoying our students, and we've heard some good feedback from it, so
It's working!
you can sign up right over here. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.